And then the O of relational leadership is one consistent character. We said earlier that trust is produced by credibility, but credibility is produced by character. We don't use the word character very much these days. We're far more familiar with the word integrity. Integrity is a good word. I used to work in Harland and Wolff shipyard back in Belfast where they built the Titanic. That's where I learned to weld. That's how they joined these massive sheets of iron together to build the hull of a ship. They weld them together. And they would do spot checks on the welds by x-raying the joints to check the integrity of the weld, to see if the inside of the weld is the same strength as the outside of the weld. That's what integrity means, to be the same at the core as on the cover. That's what Martin Luther King was getting at when he said, judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. That's integrity. A true leader, a relational leader, has integrity. He will be the same on the inside as the outside. He won't be perfect, but what you see is what you get. He will be the same in the dark as the daylight. He'll be the same in private as in public. He'll be the same person on stage as when nobody's looking. He who tries to walk two paths, an old Chinese proverb says, will split his pants. A leader has integrity. He walks one path with one consistent character. Integrity produces credibility, and credibility produces trust. And then the N of relational leadership stands for nurture. Leaders nurture those who follow. They look for opportunities to grow their people. They pass on knowledge and skills and attitudes and character with the desire to help that other person become a better person. The Dead Sea is dead because the Jordan River flows in, but nothing flows out. And so the Dead Sea became saturated by salt, and everything in it dies. Leaders are like channels through which flows nourishment into the lives of other people. Leaders never become just a reservoir accumulating knowledge and skills and information. They pass it on to others. And then the second A of relational leadership stands for arena. A stands for arena. True leaders lead in the arena. Muhammad Ali said, it's not how many times you get hit that counts, or how many times you get knocked down. What makes the difference is whether you get back up after you've been knocked down. Franklin D. Roosevelt wrote these marvelous words. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbled or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly. There is no effort without error. Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious victories, even though checkered by failure, than to live in the gray twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. Leaders are those who are in the arena. On November 18th, 1995, Itzhak Perlman, the world-renowned violinist, was giving a concert at Avery Fisher Hall at Lincoln Center in New York City. A newspaper columnist was there that night and wrote the following piece the next day. Itzhak Perlman was stricken with polio as a child, and so he walks with braces on both legs and with crutches. It's great theater just to watch Perlman painfully yet majestically walk across the stage, take his seat, and begin the long process of undoing his leg braces. Then he places the violin under his chin, nods to the orchestra conductor, and draws the bow across the strings of his violin. The audience is well used to this ritual. It's the same every performance. But on November 18th, 1995, something went wrong. A string broke, just a few bars in. It sounded like a pistol shot. Perlman froze. What to do? Obviously, the violin needs to be restrung and retuned. The conductor looked at Perlman for direction. Perlman looked at the conductor, then closed his eyes, reset the bow across the strings, and nodded his head. The orchestra began, and Perlman played on from where he left off. You can't play a symphonic work with just 3 strings. But that night, Perlman refused to believe that. He modulated, changed, and recomposed the piece in his head. At one point, it sounded like he was detuning the strings to get new sounds. When he finished, and the thunderous applause had quieted, he said, "You know, sometimes it is the artist's task to find out how much music you can still make with what you have left." Well, maybe you're playing these days with 3 strings. One of your strings is broken. Some area of brokenness in your life. True leaders never, 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 never give up. Never. Even when they're playing with only 3 strings. Lastly, the L of relational leadership stands for loving people. When I was a kid, they were bulldozing old houses in downtown Belfast, and they came across a stash of gold sovereign coins. Apparently, someone had stashed them up the chimney of an old house many years earlier, and the demolition uncovered them, and they called it the Great Shankle Road Gold Rush. Everybody converged on the site with those big pans you see the gold prospectors on TV with, looking for gold nuggets. And I don't think anybody found any, because I think the guy driving the bulldozer got most of them. Somebody said leading people is a lot like mining for gold. Inside every person is gifts and skills that are like gold. You have to move tons of dirt to find an ounce of gold. But you're not looking at the dirt, you're looking for gold. Sometimes people can get on your nerves. When you work with people, you can always find something to not like, something to criticize. But inside of every person are veins of pure gold. And it is the work of relational leaders to mine the gold and ignore the dirt. There's a verse in the Bible that describes the mindset of a leader. It goes like this: whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there was anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Think about these things. Think about these things. Mindset. Let me boil that down just a little bit more for you. Before you speak, think. Think. Filter everything through the grid of those 5 letters. Think. T is what I'm about to say, truthful. Whatever is true. H is what I am about to say, honorable. That verse says, whatever is honorable, just, pure. I is what I am about to say going to inspire, so going to encourage someone. That verse says, whatever is lovely and commendable. N is what I am about to say going to nourish someone. That verse says, if there is any excellence. And then finally is what I am about to say, kind. If there is anything worthy of praise. Therein is the mindset of a leader. Therein is the mindset of relational leadership.